Hey guys, what's going on? We're gonna go over something a little different. Originally, I was gonna do some more foam rolling videos on how to get in proper positioning, how to address tissue, etc. But today I wanted to take a little bit different approach. When it comes to foam rolling, think of it this way. So if you've ever painted a room, right? You know, you use the big brushes to kind of get the big areas. That's kind of the same approach to foam rolling, right? You use the foam roller to get those larger, bigger areas. But when you're painting a room, you have to get those little corners, right? And that's where you take the brush. So that's why I like to use tennis balls, or actually my favorite tool is these guys from AccuMobility. It's just a really easy way to get into those corners, to get into those hard to reach areas, and learn how to address them a little bit. So we're going to use these guys today. You can buy these through AccuMobility. I don't work for them, nothing like that. I just think they're a great product. So, you know, kind of a little FYI right there. But we're going to do some basic stuff, and I'm going to show you how to unlock some areas, how to improve mobility, and then lastly, how to improve stability or motor control. So, first thing we're going to do, guys, is we're going to start with the lower limb. And normally I would wear shorts, but for some reason I forgot to. I have my pants on, so I'm pulling them up. So guys, we're going to start addressing tissue down by the Achilles, lateral part of the calf, up into the gastroc, the whole area. Now, these are great because they don't move. So what I like to do, I put them next to one another. Okay? I'm going to put my calf kind of right in the middle, and I'm just going to kind of weight shift and wiggle side to side. Now, these aren't moving, so you know, I'm going to basically search for those areas. If I find I need to get a little bit more deliberate, I'll start right in the center, and then from there, guys, I'm actually going to kind of roll the meat side to side. Okay, we're just going to see if I can get that tissue to move side to side. Now, from there, guys, you have to search around a little bit, right? So I may externally rotate the hip so I can get more on the lateral part of the leg. I may sort of sit on the opposite hip and get the medial part of the calf. But the key is to find those hot spots. Now, once you find that hot spot, guys, I want you to do some basic plantar flexion, dorsiflexion, okay? Very simple stuff. All we're gonna do is go back and forth and search around, find those hot spots. There isn't like, oh, you have to hit this area. Everyone's different. You may have to find that spot where you go, oh yeah, that's the spot. And you can glide back and forth. You know, you can, you know, kind of move up and down. And once you find those hot spots, I want you to kind of move around, get that meat to move, and then go through some ankle mobility, right? So you can go through some plantar flexion and some dorsiflexion. And then lastly, just do some big ankle circles. So very easy way to just kind of open up the tissue. I like to spend 30-40 seconds in an area and then go from there. Now, if we're talking about the calf and we're trying to open up the calf, one of my favorite ways to you know, stretch the calf is to do what we call a calf stretch with a posterior weight shift. So if you come here, we're going to basically try to get the heel down, okay? Now this is going to get the hamstring as well. So we're going to go lock the leg out if you can, weight shift backwards, okay? Big stretch in the calf. And then from there, guys, boom, I'll just go up on the tippy toe, okay? So I'm going to go heel down, butt back. Tiptoe, heel down, and then butt back. Heel down, and then butt back. Okay, so again, we can open up that tissue, and if we really want to focus on strengthening the calves and getting the foot, the arch of the foot kind of involved, we can, you know, do some very simple tiptoe walks, very basic stuff. Even better, you can do some heel walks where we're actually trying to be in a little bit of active dorsiflexion. But that's a great way we can do some mobility work and then cement it. But guys, addressing the calf is a really big deal for runners. Secondly, we're gonna work on your hip rotator. So first thing we're gonna cover is external hip rotation. Favorite little progression of mine. This is gonna be sitting right at the top of your glute. It's not gonna be right on that bone, it's gonna be right below. Now, easiest way to do this is to get set up, find the hot spot, and from there, we're going to basically start off by getting into an externally rotated position. Now from here, what we're going to do is we're going to weight shift onto it, and we're just going to oscillate, working on that hip. I'll do about maybe 10 to 15, find a little bit different spot, and then keep working. Okay? After I do about, a few different areas, I'm actually gonna come on up. I'm gonna do a glute stretch. Okay, I'm gonna work on pulling up and adding a little bit more external rotation. So this is my mobility work, right? So come on up, get a nice little stretch, and then I'll go right back to it, and then I'll hit it again. So we're kind of addressing soft tissue, then we're adding in a little bit of mobility work to gain some external hip rotations. Now lastly, we want to learn to control that. So this is where we talk about doing a little bit of motor control. Now, here's my favorite way to do it. I'll start with my opposing leg down and straight. So I'm going to start extending it out. I'm going to bring it up to the flexion, external rotation, and then go from there. While on the tennis ball. Flexion, external rotation on the tennis ball. If I want to challenge that position, I take my opposing knee and slide it up towards my butt, and that's going to force me to own the hip flexion and the external rotation at the same time. And for the jiu-jitsu guys out here, this is your guard position. So this is very, very important to have this. Now again, if I want to challenge motor control or stability more, and I want to own that active range of motion, I come on up, flex, I work, and then again, I can go right into that mob. So guys, this is one of those drills where you can focus on just addressing soft tissue in your external hip rotators. You can work on some mobility if you want. You can come across, you can hit the glute stretch, and then at the same time, you can work on establishing ownership of that newfound mobility and or what we call motor control. So that's a nice little progression to just work on, to just kind of work on your external hip rotators. Now we're going to work on internal hip rotation. The way we do that is we take this tennis ball, or not tennis ball, AccuMobility ball. Easiest way to find one of the key internal hip rotators, which is your TFL. You're going to find your ASI is that bone that sticks out on the front. You're going to go an inch down and about an inch over. Okay? So we're going to go there. Now, hopefully we can kind of see this on the video. Is once I'm, actually move back a little bit. Once I'm down in this position, I'm going to use my opposing hands, slide back a little bit, my opposing hands and my opposing leg to regulate pressure. So that way, if it's really tender, I can regulate. So I'm not, changing my breathing patterns, etc. So from here, we're going to get down. We're going to find that hot spot. From there, I'm just going to kind of roll around and move. What I like to do from there is some hamstring curls. So after I move around, I'll do some curls. Now it's important that when I curl, that my butt doesn't rise up on the ground. So I almost push my hip down and curl. Boom. And then lastly, guys, do these for about 40, 50, 60 seconds. I go into my internal and external rotation. Now, one thing to be aware of when you're trying to address internal rotation, in the PT world, they have what they call a scour test, and a lot of people are going to test positive for that. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have some sort of degree of abduction to improve internal hip rotation, or you're just going to be jamming your own hip up. But I've got a torn labrum, and if I try to stay vertically stacked and improve internal hip rotation, it's not going to happen. So what I need to focus on is getting a little bit more abducted at the hip, and then I can start to address internal and external rotation. And this is nice because I can hit both at the same time. This is one of my favorite ways to do it. Now guys, we're addressing the soft tissue and improving range of motion. Then from there, we can do some sideline motor control work, and this is my favorite way to do it. Go into the clamp position. The way that I coach it is, imagine that you've got a level here, right? Or you've got a bucket. We want to dump water out the front of the bucket, and then right away, I'll still go right into external rotations. Boom. So very, very simple ways to improve, internal and external rotation. And then lastly, rec fem. This is one of those nasty muscles that can be riddled with trigger points. So what I like to do is I'll put the two AccuMobility balls together. I'll go right in the belly of the quad. Boom. I'm gonna find the hot spot. Once I'm there, I'm gonna try to contract, relax. Contract, relax. Contract, relax. And then I can slide up or down. contract, relax. And guys, I'm gonna go all the way up and all the way down the quad when we do that. Very, very simple. Now, once you kind of work your way all the way up and down the quad, then we can start to do a little bit of knee flexion. So look, I've got that trigger point, I've opened up tissue, I'm gonna be active. I'm gonna curl the heel towards the butt. It's gonna be some work on the hamstring. And as we extend, relax. Curl, relax. And then boom, I can slide up a little bit. Find the hot spot. Curl, relax. Curl, and then relax. And again, I just work my way up. Very, very simple stuff. This is, honestly, this is very, very good for a lot of people with grumpy knees. I found that once we educate people on sort of soft tissue and the health of their soft tissue, they get them on a foam roller and they're like, wow, I never realized that stuff was so tender. And guys, soft tissue quality is a big part of being healthy and obviously, hopefully preventing injuries. So simple stuff, guys. You're gonna work that calf, you're gonna work your internal and external hip rotation. You're gonna work, you're gonna work the quads to open those up a little bit. And then from there, do your bigger global movement patterns, right? You're gonna hit your, your hand sit inset with a rip pull, you're gonna hit your lateral lunges, you're gonna hit your deep squat prep, you're gonna do some toe touch progressions, whatever you feel, but this is kind of the first step, right? Is unlocking those sort of smaller parts of your body, getting the hip rotators to work, addressing the calf, and then you go on to your larger global movement patterns, and then boom, go for a run. You're gonna be amazed at how much better you feel. So, guys, simple stuff for today, but again, pretty effective when you do it right. Have a good day. We'll talk to you soon.